Yeah, we're good.
All right. Good morning, everybody. We want to thank you for joining us for another Maximizing Your ShoreTel Investment webinar. My name is Jeff Zeisek, and along with Jay Smith, we will be hosting this webinar for you today. So real quick, what we're going to cover, we're going to give you again a little bit of update on what's going on here at Vertex. So welcome everybody to the webinar. We're going to go over again ShoreTel 14.2 update. There's some latest builds that have come out, so we're working on upgrading some people as we go along. And then we're going to get into some Shoreware Director tips and tricks with Jay. Jay's going to go through that for you today. And then we'll open it up for a question and answer session right after that is done. If you guys need any additional questions or have some issues that you're dealing with, we'd be happy to help you out. And then also our next webinar, which we'll be covering here shortly, is going to be 2 weeks from today. So keep that in mind. You will get the invitation on that probably in the next week or so. Some updates here. Again, we are very proud of our customer service here at Vertex. So back in May of 2014, we were awarded the ShoreTel World Class Customer Service Award. That makes 26 straight quarters. We're waiting for the 27th one to come out. We should be getting word on that hopefully shortly. Also, again, ShoreTel 14.2 is out. We are upgrading clients. If you have not been upgraded to 14.2 yet and are interested in doing that because of some of the new tools that come out like diagnostic and monitoring and the virtualization, which we'll cover here shortly, let us know. We would love to get you upgraded, making sure that we get that taken care of for you in a timely manner. Also, we're currently looking to fill 2 positions here at Vertex in the Ocala office. We are looking for a marketing admin position, do a little bit there for us, and also a network technician. If you know people that are looking for those types of roles, or you think they'd be a good fit for us, let us know. We'd love to talk with them. The quickest way to get support, we always want to make sure that we are taking care of our customers. If you need support at any time, if you have an issue that is business impacting, it's causing you hardship, call our main phone number. There's two main phone numbers. One is our local phone number, which is 352-401-0909. During normal business hours, choose the technical support line. You will get a live answer on that line. Right now, our average hold time on there is only 6 seconds, so just kind of keep that in mind. You can get help very, very quickly. You can also reach us toll-free at 877-837-8357, and then again, choose option number 1 for technical support. If this is after hours, if you have a hard down or an issue that's business impacting after hours, when you dial into either one of those phone numbers, you're going to choose the hard down line. And what happens there is that we get a technician that will be notified immediately once you leave a voice message, and you usually get a call back within a couple of minutes. So you can definitely get 24/7 support. If you have something that you need to get taken care of, but doesn't need to be done right away, or maybe take a couple of hours, or maybe done the next day, send an email to help@vertex.com. That will immediately create a ticket in our system. Go to our scheduling office, and you'll get a notification usually within an hour or so that that's been scheduled for you. And again, as I said just a little bit ago, the next end user webinar, and again, we will be focusing on Communicator on the next webinar, will be Thursday, November 23rd at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So mark your calendars for that. We'd love to have you attend that one as well. So what does Vertex do besides ShoreTel? I know you're all here for the ShoreTel webinar, but we have a lot of great partnerships out there, and we do help everybody. We are a full-service IT consulting company. So besides ShoreTel, we have things like Quorum for disaster recovery, Barracuda for backups, XIO for SAN storage. We are a Microsoft Gold partner. We're a ShoreTel Gold partner, obviously. We do life-size video conferencing, HP, AdTran, BlueSocket, Wi-Fi. So if you have questions about your network infrastructure, just have a question, go ahead and feel free to reach out to your account rep. We'd be happy to help you with that as well. Again, we are very, very experienced, been doing this for 18 years. So what are some of the offers that we've got? We've got some great free offers here for Q4. Network assessment. Want to make sure that your computer network is fast, reliable, and secure. So we will definitely go ahead and do that. We've got a great tool called Rapid Fire. We can definitely do some things with that, see what's going on inside your network and let you know where you stand. Also a security assessment. We can do a very, very in-depth network security assessment for your network, again, making sure that you're secure. So if you're not worried about speed because everything's running fine, but you just want to know if you're secure, let us know. We can do a security assessment for you. And finally, we've got the optimization service. When was the last time that you had your voice and data services evaluated in terms of pricing? There's a lot of changes out there, and there's some really, really affordable and reasonably priced services out there from great, great companies that if we take a look at your bill, maybe it'll save you some money going forward. So if you want us to do something like that, again, contact your account rep. One of the new things out there for ShoreTel 14, if you don't have 14 yet or are on 14 but you don't necessarily have these phones yet, we've got the ShoreTel Deck phone. It's a wireless phone with Deck technology. So it's got the color screen, has all the function and soft keys that are on it, got the great battery life, it does not require Wi-Fi, and it's easy to use. So if you are on 13, you maybe have some 230 phones. It would be like having a 230 phone with a color screen but on your hip. It also, if you've got the 480 phones or the 420 phones, it's probably like a 420 phone, two-line phone, but with a color screen there as well and a bigger LCD. So great, great phone, great sound quality. We have a few of them in our office, really, really solid range to them as well with the bass. So keep that in mind. If you're interested in that, let us know. We'd love to actually show that to you and let you see how that works. So what's going on in 14.2? If you aren't there yet, there's been some changes on 14.2. OSs that are supported on your servers currently. You got Windows Server 2008, R2, Service Pack 1, and Service Pack 2. You've also got Windows Server 2012 and Internet Explorer 10 and 11. Big changes to 14 that OSs that are not supported. Windows Server 2003 is not supported. I think that actually went out in version 13, but and also Windows XP. If you have any XP machines, those would need to be upgraded before we can get you onto 14 for ShoreTel. So keep those in mind moving forward. Some of the new features that are in the ShoreTel 14.2, virtual appliances. One of the great things about this now, you can run a virtual appliance on a VMware platform. So you don't actually have to buy the physical hardware. You can actually have those running as basically an OVA file in your virtual environment. You can virtualize the IP phone switch and a spare IP phone switch, which gives you the N+1 redundancy for free. You can virtualize your SIP trunk switch, your virtual service appliance. This is a new one here. This replaces your conference bridge. So if you have an SA100, SA400, you can actually virtualize those appliances and get the free instant messaging right out of the box, and also the separator if you needed to do something along those lines. Again, like I said, it runs as an OVA file, and you can have a virtual IP phone, SIP trunk, VSA, all installed files, part of your Shoreware Director server. So very, very neat stuff. Again, gives you some hardware that you don't have to, or I'm sorry, excuse me, some capacity that you don't have to buy the hardware for it. So on the virtual IP phone switch, it supports all non-TDM features, so no physical trunks or analog phones, up to 1,000 IP phones per switch, and licensing per extension. This only applies, the licensing applies if you are going to use the virtual appliance as your primary switch. If you're using it as an N+1 and you have an instance where it has to fail over, licensing does not come into play. It basically gives you a 45-day window to get the physical piece of that fixed, and then we can roll the phones back. So again, virtual spare phone switch, no licenses, is free. The virtual service appliance, again, is the SA100 or 400. Gives you the audio and web IM features. Same maximum system capacity, up to 200 audio, 200 web, and 2,000 IM, depending on whether using SA100 or 400 setup. No change in the licensing. The licensing for those, you still need to get the audio and web port licensing for the conference bridge piece of that. And then the virtual SIP trunk switch, you can support up to 500 SIP trunks with media proxy. And the licensing per SIP trunk, you can see one virtual SIP trunk capacity license is on there as well. So with that, I am going to hand it over to Jay, and Jay is going to go through, I'm sorry, it's not Communicator, I missed that, it's going to be Shoreware Director. So let me go ahead and give Jay control, and Jay is going to go ahead and show you what's going on in the Director software.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. Let me just pull up here Shoreware Director and kind of run you guys through just a couple of things that you may or may not know. Here I am on the quick look, and the first thing I want to talk about is there's some reporting built into ShoreTel. So this is not, you know, if you have a contact center, I'm not talking about that. This is just basic reporting that is, it's actually just built in to the ShoreTel. So I want to show you down here in the quick link side over here, it's under reports. And we actually can run web conferencing reports because we do have an SA100 and we use it. But I'm going to focus on the call detail reports. Let me click on that and just kind of show you. So when you see this drop down right here, there are 12 reports that you can run right out of the box. So the account detail and summary reports, those are, like for example, we have a law firm. This would give you, you can assign account codes to clients. So when they call in, you can run reports on this client called in this many times for this many minutes, that kind of thing. So that's something that you can set up and run, account detail and summary. You can also do trunk activity, which would tell you, if we did it really quickly on hours here. Let me just run it. I'm going to run one. I'm going to run a trunk activity summary report for the month of October. See, I've got those dates in here. I'm going to run that report, and you'll notice when I do that, there's another tab that's popped up over here on this. I'm going to go back in the directory. You can actually be generating up to 5 reports at a time. So while that one's working, I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to do I want to look at this. Maybe I'm looking for a user. So here's user activity and detail and summary. So I'm going to start with a summary. I want to run that report, and you can see I've already got some ranges in here. I can take those out. But what I wanted to do is I'm going to run a report out. Don is our CEO and John Childers is our vice president, and they are usually pretty neck and neck when it comes to who uses the phone the most. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add them in here. So I know that Don's extension is 1450. So I'm going to make that my range, 1450 to 1450, and I'm going to add that in. You see it pops up down here. So next I'm going to add John in. By putting his extension, I'm going to add that. So now you see I've got both of those extensions. Now I could do this as a range. If I wanted to look at everybody, I could just do an extension range from 1450 to 1499, and it would pull everybody's stats. But I'm going to basically just do John and Don, and we're going to see who has more calls here. So start of range, you see I've got that. You can pick it by month. I've got the month of October in here now. And then you can also pick the time of day. So I could run this report for 24 hours, which is what it's set for now. Or I could say just during business hours, et cetera, et cetera. So I've got that set to give me the whole shebang. And then do I want to break it into segments or not? I could say yes, but I don't want to do that. It just makes the report longer and a little bit harder to read. And then I want to show internal calling, yes or no. So I'll leave that as set up as yes, and I'm going to run that report also. So we can come back over here and look at the trunk report. And this kind of tells you by line here the calls. So you see right here, inbound calling, which we have set up to come in on the first lines. You see there's line 1, line 2, and so on and so on. And then outbound calling, we have it set up to go out the higher numbers. So line 23 here, you can see had the most outbound calls. Then here's line 22 and line 21. So what does this report tell me at a glance really quickly? Well, I can tell you what it tells me personally. I don't see a line 10 in here. I don't see a line 11 in here. I don't see a line 12 in here, which that tells me we're not overusing our T1. So I can take a quick look at this trunk activity summary report, and I know, okay, 1 PRI seems to be enough for Vertex in the month of October. So that's the trunk activity report. I'm going to go ahead and close that one out. Now remember, we ran a summary report. Now here's John. You can see his numbers down here. Try to highlight that on this PDF right here. That's John. So he's got 231 inbound and 218 outbound. Let's see. And 440. Well, it looks like John won this month in terms of number of calls. He's got 449 and Don had 444. But you can see that time on the phone is a lot more. So I guess Don's calls are more involved and lengthy and detailed there. So that's just the summary report for a month of 2 users right there. I could also come in here and do a detail report on a user if I want to see, here's a user activity detail report. The value that's in here right now is Paul Violet. He takes a lot of calls. So I've got, let's see, just last week is what I've got in here by default now. You see I've set up the 27th, which was Monday, and then through Halloween, and then I did the same thing, 24 hours worth. I'm not going to break it in. I'll include, and you're going to see that a detail report is a lot more information. So a couple things I want to point out about that. This is not where you want to try to sort stuff and figure things out. This shows you the 27th, and it's got all his calls by detail. You can see right up here, I've got 15 pages of report here. So if I really want to try to look at this data and make some sense of it, I can export that. You see that right here, export this report. As soon as I click on that, it says, what do I want to export it to? And if you have Crystal Reports and can use it, that's awesome. You can make a PDF, which is kind of like what we're looking at. But you also can bring it into Excel. And once you get it in Excel, I'm not going to export it right now. But you can kind of, sort that data and really try to make some well, you ran this report because you're trying to see something, and this will help you figure it out. This is the detail report here. So I'm going to close out of that user detail, activity detail report. And here's our summary report. I'm going to close out of that as well. And just want to show you again that there are 12 in a box recordings here. It wouldn't do us any good for me to run a WAN report because we don't have any calls that are routing over our network. If you have calls that route over your network that don't route over your carrier, then you could run this report and see, kind of what's happening on your MPLS network, etc. Also, there are 4 reports here for work groups. So if you're running work groups, you can see what's going on there in terms of agents and queues, etc. So that is a kind of a quick overview of the basic reporting. One of the other things I want to show you guys is call handling defaults. So you can actually, I'm going to come back up here. I'm in administration here under users, and you can set the defaults for the entire user group. So call handling mode defaults right here. So when I click on that, then I pick the mode that I want to make changes to. So I'm going to start with standard. So what I'm doing is I'm setting up what are the call handling defaults for all my users in standard. Now this is not to say they can't change them if we give them permission to, but this is going to be the default. So you can see right here in a standard mode, we've got it set when you don't answer or it's busy, it routes to voicemail here in both cases. We've got it set to 3 rings. We're trying to be, customer focused and get an answer on the ball. I'm going to change that to 4. Now, a couple things. As soon as I make this 4, I could hit save, and it's going to make the change system-wide. I want to show you what happens, though, if I come in here and I've done a bunch of things and I look around and I forget to hit save. If I come over here to end a meeting, as soon as I click that next hyperlink, it's saying, hey, do you want to save these changes that you made or not? So, or do you want to leave without these? So this is my little reminder not to leave. So I'm going to say, oh, you know what? Let me stay. I want to change that to 4. So when I hit save like that, now as a default, I've set up where when any of our users don't answer or they're busy in standard mode, after 4 rings, it's going to go to voicemail when they don't answer. So I'm going to change that back just because I don't want to make any permanent changes on our system here in-house. I'm going to go ahead and hit save on that one again. And so you can make those changes for each of these modes. In a meeting mode, I could come over here and do the same thing, or out of office, I could even, change those. So it's completely configurable. So that is where you would go and change the defaults for all users at one time. So one of the things that is underutilized, I think, big time are custom toolbars for users. So, this is the one thing. If I was managing the ShoreTel at your site, I would make sure the users knew about these because this can really change the way they're taking calls and doing things. I'm going to show you that. So it actually is right here under individual users. I'm going to pick myself. And let me just show you. I'm going to pull up Communicator here so you guys see. This is my Communicator. You can see I'm connected to this call. I've got no toolbars or anything set up right up here. So I'm going to minimize that back again. And so once I've picked the user, I'm going to move over from the General tab to the Personal Options tab. And under Personal Options, this is where I can program the buttons on their phone if I wanted to, or you can see right below there, Program Communicator Toolbars. That's what I want to do. I'm going to click on that one. And you can see that this user, Jay, doesn't have any toolbars right now. So I'm going to create a new one for him. I'll just call it Jay's Toolbar. And so now I've got these options. What do I want to put on it? And you can see that it breaks down into a few different categories here. Other, let me show you what's in Other. So Other is one of the things I could do. I could invoke a URL here, right? So I'm going to click that one, and I'm going to call this Google. And for the URL that I want it to go to, I'm going to put in Google. So once I save that, it's going to give me on my communicator here, look, I've got a new toolbar. You see it there? And I've got a link that I can click to go to Google. So I've created a little one-click hyperlink for myself to open a web page, which is pretty cool, especially if you use something a lot. Let me do some other ones here, though. Maybe I wanna go under telephony here, and I want to do a, let's see, I want to do a transfer to mailbox. So I'm going to set up a transfer to mailbox toolbar, and I'm going to call this Don's voicemail. Let me just make it Don's voicemail like that. And then I'll put an extension here, 1450. And so once I could also search, right? I could do Don Goling. Oops, spell it right here, and search, and it found him. So when I save that, what that put on that toolbar is a little button for Don's voicemail. So one of the things that you may or may not know is if I wasn't doing the iOS update on my iPhone right now, I would call in here. When I get an active call in that call window, if I'm an operator, I can drag that call and let go of it right here on Don's voicemail, and it will go directly to his voicemail. So if there's someone that, an operator is constantly transferring to a certain extension or voicemail, you can create a button for that, and it's just right up here. So when they are on that active call, you can even click transfer, and that'll pop up as an option, and you literally click that button right there, and it transfers to Don's voicemail. So that's pretty cool. Let me just see what else we've got here. I'm a little rusty on these. That's for agent stuff. We're not going to mess with that. Let me look over here at telephony again. I want to show you guys. One of the things I can do here is I'm going to try to find this. I've got a bunch of things I can do to silent coach and whisper page and that kind of thing. What I was looking for, though, is I want to do an extension monitor. Let's see, where are you?
See that probably bridge call appearance.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Up to the top.
Yeah. And I'm going to call this Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. And then put in Jeff. Oh, did not find it.
1477 if you.
Yeah, save us a little bit of time. I'll do that. All right, save. I wonder why it's not finding that. You know what? There we go, speed dial. That's what I want, Joe. What is it, 14 what? 77? Got it, okay. Let me save that. All right, boom. There we go. So now what I've created on that toolbar is, well, I thought I did. Hit save. There we go. Now what I've created on there is a speed dial for Jeff. So you can see it's even color-coded, kind of like the bubbles in presence, so I can see that he's on a call. But basically that's just a click and I call Jeff button. So shortcut on the toolbar, very cool. Make sure your users know about it. You can set up and, just come in here and take a look. Let me minimize this. Again, it's under individual users, and then when you get there, you pick one, and then you bring it right over here to personal options. And so right here under personal options is where you can go, and this is where you can program buttons on their phone, as well as you can program communicator toolbars here. So very cool. Users are usually excited to find out they can have those set up and customized for themselves. So one of the other things I want to show you guys is adding someone to the system directory instantly. So I haven't got a phone for this person. I haven't done anything, but I'm going to set up. Let me just pull up my communicator here and search for Bruce Lee. Is Bruce Lee in our directory? Okay, no, he is not. So there's no Bruce Lee. So I'm going to come over here in the system directory. I'm going to come up here to system directory, and I'm going to create a new entry. So basically at this point it's saying, who are you putting in here? I'm going to put Bruce Lee. And what I'm doing is I'm adding Bruce Lee's number here to the entire directory, so it's going to pop up for anyone and everyone on our system when they search for Bruce Lee. We'll just call Bruce Lee 850-525, or you know what, let's do 555-1212. So once I put that entry in there and save it, now Bruce Lee has been added to the ShoreTel system directory. So if I pull my communicator up over here and I search for that name again, Bruce Lee, there he is. So you can see there's no presence bubble, right, because he's not in our system as a user, he's just in the directory. So now I've got the ability to speed dial Bruce Lee. Boy, I wish that number really worked. That would be awesome. So that is adding a user to the system directory, the quick and easy way to do it very quickly. I'm going to go ahead and take Bruce out so nobody tries to call him. Just delete and say OK. And then I want to show you the last thing I'm going to go into on our call today. Now remember, if you have specific questions about any of this stuff, just reach out to us. We'll help you with it. But the last thing I want to cover today is I want to cover the class of service, which is really cool. And a little bit tricky, but I'm going to show you the granularity here. So when you're working on class of service, let me show you the different things that you can do here. So I'm going to come over to the administration, I'm going to come to users, and then right under there is class of service. Does everybody see a class of service right there? So basically there are three types. I can create and edit telephony features, call permissions, and then voicemail. So telephony features is ShoreTel features and functionality. The call permissions would be, can they make long distance calls, or maybe the calls in my lobby are internal calls only, et cetera, et cetera. So basically, I just want to show you the level of granularity here. If I pick one of these, like I'm going to pick a super user here under telephony, and you can see that I've got all these settings I can set. But I'm going to start with their call stack depth is 8. Their buddy list is a maximum of 500. That's the contacts tab. So whatever I set right here on their buddy list is the maximum number. Let me get out of Bruce Lee here. The maximum number of buddies that I can have in my contact list. So that's what that number is. So 500 and then 20,000 personal contacts. And I can also do a 6-party conference call if I'm in this group. Okay, so let me come back over here to class of service. And that was under telephony, and we looked at a super user. Let me look at a minimally featured user. Minimally featured, look, they can do a call stack depth of 2, and they can do a 3-party conference call. So those are different class of services that I'm setting up for telephony features. Same thing for call permissions. I can set up long distance, local, et cetera, et cetera. So I can add or edit any of these. And now once I have these class of service settings done, look under voicemail, I've got large, medium, small, and no mailbox. Once I have those done, I can go into user groups. So here's user groups are, and you can see, account, let me just pick, here's execs. So executives are set up for super user telephony features, class of service. They're allowed long distance calling, and they have a large mailbox. So that's the executive user group. And then let's look down here at, say, staff. They're partially featured telephony. They can still do long distance. They have a medium-sized mailbox. So those are different user groups that you create based on class of service. Does that make sense to everybody? I hope it does. Now, once I've got user groups and class of service set up, when I come in here to my individual users, this is where I can say I want to put them in a certain user group. You guys see I'm in the Vertex user group. So I've got the Vertex class of services set. But maybe I could put myself in executives, or I could put myself in any one of these different user groups. So that is how you can control groups of features and functionality for, at the master level here. So basically, if I've got a staff class of service and a staff user group where I've set them up to be able to do certain things, and I've got, say, admins and executives. Once I have all that set up, when I create a new user, that becomes just a drop-down box that I can literally go and pick. Okay, I'm going to put this new user, what group do I want him in? And I just select it right here, and then I hit save, and I'm going from there. So just a really easy way to control feature and functionality by class of service and then through user groups. which is a very cool thing when you're setting up a new user if you can just point and click and you know they're going to get the right set of features, et cetera, that you want them to. So that's all I have under tips and tricks for the admin piece this morning. Again, if you have questions, you can type them in, or I'm going to open up the audio here in a second and you can ask them. But I wanted to give you guys just a quick overview of some of the easy, quick, and dirty ways you can do things in the admin tool. So without further ado, let me open up audio for everybody. And if you have questions. All right, that was Matthew, I think, that was making that. Matthew, I'm not going to unmute. All right, there we go. So you guys, if you have questions, go ahead and ask. Anybody there? Anybody have a question? Looks like we got one from John. Let's see. Toolbars from ShoreTel Communicator. I think what John's asking there is, can you create toolbars from Communicator? And the answer is no. You come into the admin tool and create them directly from ShoreTel Director. Anybody else have any questions? I'm just looking through. I don't see any more questions in the attendee list. Well, guys, we really appreciate your time. We appreciate you coming out and joining us for the webinar. Hopefully you learned some things that will help you. If you have more specific questions that you want to reach out to us after the call is over, please feel free to do that. One of the things I've gotten a few questions about here recently is, can I add my own graphic to the phones that have color screens on them? And the answer is yes. I can talk you through that process if you need to do that. But for now, we just want to say thank you for joining the webinar, and we will definitely see you on the next one. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good day.